Hi, it's John Campbell here from Rabbit and Pork. So, just last week, the BBC announced that their new Beeb voice assistant has been launched in a beta mode, and so we're really interested in this. So, we wanted to give it a little bit of a test to see how it works. So, at this moment, the idea behind Beeb, as described in the different blog posts that have come out from the BBC team, is essentially it's an assistant that's allowing you to access content from various BBC sources, so their radio channels, their podcasts, news, weather, etc. And so the idea of this version at this moment in time is basically it's an app that runs on a Windows PC, and you can install and use this. So you need to be part of a kind of a testing program. There's a link below which has all the details of how you install it. Essentially, once you go through this installation process, you then get this nice little app which sits here on your desktop. So the way that this works is essentially you need to log into an existing or create a BBC account. And the other thing that's quite interesting in is that when you're logging in for the first time, you need to set your accent. So I'm from Blackpool, so I'm from the Northwest, so I have a Lancashire accent, but we can see all the different combinations of accents that you can put in here. So they're going to use this for, basically training, maybe learning to find out where the errors are higher. Maybe it's certain accents, the voice recognition doesn't work as well. So the way that it works is that you basically give them permission for this app to have access to your camera. So it's listening for the wake word. And then with it being on a laptop, they can obviously change and have these little different prompts. So we'll just basically start with the first prompt which you have on the setup, which is, okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. What can you do?
I'm new, so I can't do everything. But you can ask me to play any of the BBC's radio stations, shows, music mixes. Or if you're curious like me, you might like a podcast from BBC Sounds. You can also ask me for the weather or the latest news. Why not give it a try by saying, okay, Beeb, update me.
So you probably noticed there the accent is kind of a northern accent, but it's not, you can't place it in a particular location. You wouldn't say it's Leeds or it's Manchester, or it's just kind of a generic northern accent, which is quite nice. So, okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Update me.
Okay, now for the weather. The temperature in Greater London is 19 degrees Celsius. This afternoon, persistent rain will spread from the south, turning heavy and thundery at times. Warmer but turning breezier with a fresh easterly wind. Time for your news.
Good morning, this is BBC News. The families of
Okay, Beeb.
450 people who have died in the coronavirus
Okay, Beeb.
pandemic are demanding an immediate public
Okay, Beeb.
inquiry into the government's hand.
Stop. Stop.
The number of further deaths now. The government.
So, a couple of things that you probably noticed. The wake word, unfortunately, it's got mixed kind of responses. So one of the things there is that I'm on a laptop. I'm on a Dell XPS, so a relatively good laptop. But again, probably the microphone there's only one maybe microphone here. And so one of the advantages and one of the reasons why your smart speaker works so well, so Alexa or Google, is that they have multiple different microphones in them, so they're able to pick up that wake word a little bit better, and also doing some things in the background where if you've got an audio file playing, they can kind of like cancel out the audio file that you've got playing, so then they can hear the wake word. So this is going to be a real problem for anybody trying to launch, regardless of who you are, trying to launch a voice assistant on a laptop, is that you're going to have variant qualities of microphones. And I could have plugged in a desk microphone, or I could have my head microphone on, and then it's going to behave differently. So yeah, it's not surprising that it does sound sometimes struggle to kind of pick up the wake word. The other thing that was quite nice there is the weather. I didn't set my location as London. It knows my IP address probably, and it's picking up that. That's quite interesting. So let's just try one or two more things. Okay, Beeb. What's on BBC One tonight?
To find out what's on, head to BBC iPlayer for the TV guide.
So this is quite nice here that they haven't managed to hook up, the TV guide to bring us that information through, but they've kind of built like these, I often call them like stub intents. So there's an intent that, they've added in the utterances, they've trained it so that if you ask for that, it's going to give you a custom error response rather than giving you kind of a, sorry, I can't help with that. So that's quite nice at handling errors and setting expectations. Let's try a podcast. Okay, Beeb. Play the BBC podcast about football.
Sorry, I can't help with that.
Okay.
Try asking me for something else.
Okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Play the Peter Crouch podcast.
Here's that Peter Crouch podcast from the 9th of June, 2020.
BBC Sounds, music, radio, podcasts.
The following podcast.
So that's quite nice. Let's just try a generic kind of question. So, okay, Beeb, can you give me a podcast about nature?
Sorry, I can't help with that. Try asking me for something else.
Okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Can you give me a podcast about comedy?
Sorry, I can't help with that. Try asking me for something else.
So it might be the case that you have to ask specifically for the podcast by name or by title. And then let's try something like, okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Can you give me the local news?
Now for the weather. The temperature in Greater London is 19 degrees Celsius. This afternoon, persistent
Beeb.
rain will spread from the south, turning heavy and thundery at times. Warmer but turning breezier with a fresh easterly wind.
Okay, Beeb. Okay, Beeb. Can you play the local radio station?
Here's the station from the 9th of October, 2013.
13.
So this sounds like this is a podcast called The Station rather than my local station, BBC London. So it's a great start. It's more than any other kind of broadcaster has done to manage to kind of deploy, their own custom assistant. And I'm sure from this they're going to learn so much. I mean, that's the whole point of a beta, that you track and you work out what people are asking for, what you can't fulfill, and then you start to build up those things. And but yeah, I think it's a great start. Obviously at this moment in time, the execution of this is on a laptop, and really, this is where we want, something like this is going to ideally live, in a smart speaker. How that works, can the BBC create their own smart speaker? I don't really think so. Are they going to deploy it within, an existing Alexa or Google smart speaker? And that could work, but then obviously you lose the wake word ability. But yeah, I can see this being absolutely brilliant for the iPlayer. So there's so much content within the iPlayer at this moment in time. It'd be amazing if you'd be able to kind of voice search within the iPlayer. And one of the things that kind of touched upon there is that, sometimes, there's so much content out there, you might not know exactly what you want to watch. So you want to ask generic phrases, or you might want to add filters and parameters to your search query. So you might want to say, I want to listen to a comedy podcast that's less than 30 minutes long. So are they able to extract that information from the search query and then pull back information and pull back a show from the catalogue? But yeah, well done to the BBC team. Really good kind of first steps, but obviously lots of kind of teething issues still to get through. yeah, it's really interesting to test this out, and I'll continue to kind of have this active on my laptop, and see if this replaces my usage of my Alexa and my Google, because quite a lot of times that's the device that I will use to listen to podcast and to live BBC radio. So we'll see if I'll use this instead of using it via Alexa or via Google.